Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Melissa, and this is my channel Geeky Witch about all things cross stitch in my life. And today, as you can see by the higher than heck ponytail, which is going to hit me in the face, it is 80s unboxing day in the Black Needle Society. And I'm not putting a lot of effort into my 80s look. Nothing from the 80s that I could possibly have would fit me because I was a skinny mini at the time. I was like 15 when the 80s ended, so nothing is going to fit me from back then. And also, I'm not putting any Aquanet anywhere near my hair anymore. It did enough damage back in the 80s with the whole flipping my bangs backwards and the flare thing going on and the perms and the electric blue mascara and the blue eyeshadow, and yeah, just envision this is a hypercolor t-shirt, and we'll go from there. I'm comfy. It's a Saturday and I want to be comfy. All right, so quick thing before I start the unboxing. I was at Stitching at the Farm up in Troy, New Hampshire last weekend. Had a ball. I had to cut back a night, so instead of getting there Thursday, I got there Friday. I felt like I did need another day, but who doesn't need another day at a stitch retreat? Had a great time. Saw a lot of people, surprisingly got a lot of stitching done. I finished a project, which I've never done at a retreat before, and I got a lot of stitching done on another project that didn't have a deadline. So the stitching project I finished is for my exchange, my ornament exchange for the Tudor Rose Sampler Guild. I can't show that yet. I still need to finish it, and I will film a video on it before it goes into the mail this Tuesday, so that I can put it on a video once my recipient has gotten it, because I want it to be a surprise, obviously. So that will come up in my next video. I promise I'm not just going, oh, you don't get to see it. You will get to see it. But it was a very cute little ornament. I got a lot of compliments on it at the retreat, which was kind of awesome because I was a little worried about my fabric choice, but it did actually come out really, really, really good. But like I said, had a great time at the farm. It's a fantastic retreat. Just laid back and quiet and relaxing. Way too much food. They cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you there while you're there. Way too much food. You don't need to bring snacks because you're going to be full the entire time. Bring drinks if you want drinks that aren't like lemonade or water, or coffee. But it's just a nice escape from everything, and you leave and you're recharged, and it's awesome. So had a great time. Already looking forward to next year. Already have my room booked for next year. So yes, the October, November is going to be retreat season, I think, from now on. So okay, so going into things, we will start the unboxing of the Black Needle Society. This is the November box, which was themed to totally 80s. So if you are still, or back to the 80s, I mean, if you are still waiting for this box and you want to be surprised, this is your time to say goodbye for now. I'm not going to show anything else afterwards on this video. So I will see you next time. And if you're sticking around to be spoiled, here we go. All right, so we have the traditional leaflet to tell you what things are. I will confess, I've already opened this, so I do know what's in it. So I'll be reading off as we go. But I will say that when I always open it to start with, I don't open this. So I actually haven't opened this yet. So we will open it up so I can read what things are. Okay. So my stuff may be in a slightly different order than it was packaged in the box because I've just put it back in. All right, so starting off, we have Floss of the Month. Every one of the bi-monthly boxes for the standard subscription comes with some sort of floss. And they did not disappoint with the late 80s colors. And I say late 80s because anyone who was alive in the early 80s knows that it was not neon. If these would have been early 80s colors, it would have been brown and tan and maybe some navy. But it was still kind of 70s moving into the early 80s. It really hadn't gotten out of that dull color scheme at that point. The bright colors like this were much more when I was getting into junior high, so that would have been like 87 to 89. That's these colors. And it brightened up over the 80s. So like it was much more like, you know, like the primary colors. So you saw a lot of like the yellow, blue, red in the mid 80s, and then it got neon at the end of the decade. So these are from Color and Cotton. We have Cowabunga. We have Totally 80s, which is the green. And then we have Hairband, as opposed to the Hairband. Hairband, which is a really, really pretty color of coral pink. And yes, they comment, is there anything more 80s than a hairband? What about the famous Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles catchphrase, Cowabunga? So, yes. And of course there is, I think there's a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie coming out, or did it already come out? I don't know. That was never my thing in the 80s. I was a Cabbage Patch and My Little Pony girl, and I wasn't a Barbie kid. A Strawberry Shortcake kid. And then in the late 80s, as I got into junior high, I was not a New Kids on the Block girl. I was a Debbie Gibson and Tiffany girl. I was equal opportunity nice girl and rebellious mall rat girl, with a affectionate love of the glam metal bands. We'll put it that way. Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there because I could go down that rabbit hole and we'd never get out of here. All right, so the next thing, we have some Converse sneaker washi tape, which will be awesome for my planner. My planner will be another episode, probably the next episode, because I think I'm about ready to show off what I'm doing. Very cute. I got married in Chucks, by the way. I am not someone who can wear high heels at all, and I got married outside and in the grass, so I decided I wanted to be comfortable. So I got custom Converse high tops put in my wedding colors. I still have them, and so this kind of is affectionate for me because they're my wedding shoes. Yeah, anyway, all right, moving on. Next, we have, these kind of go together in a way. We have a tie-dye kit, and we have white fabric that we can tie-dye, 32 count. I wore a lot of, people say, oh, that's 60s. It is also 80s, especially, again, middle to late 80s. There was a lot of tie-dye. It became much more about fashion than the rebellious nature and the hippie nature that was the late 60s. In the late 80s, mid to late 80s, tie-dye was like everywhere. I remember doing it like anytime we were at a vacation thing and they had kids events, there was tie-dye. I went to Disneyland in 89 and got like a Mickey tie-dye shirt. Tie-dye was everywhere in the 80s. So this will be fun, and I've never dyed fabric. So this is going to be a lot of fun for me. And it's linen, which means it's going to take it darker. 32 count linen. I'm looking forward to this. I'll show you what my results are when I finally do that. Probably won't be until the spring, only because it's going to get so cold here. But if we have a weekend where it's nice and it's not raining like it has almost every weekend since June in New England, maybe I'll get around to doing it at some point this winter. All right. Next, we have a couple of zipper pulls. I'm loving these things, by the way. A lot of my project bags have zipper pulls with labels on them, but these ones probably will go like on my backpack just because they're fun. So, of course, we have a Video Killed the Radio Star, which is the first video that was ever broadcast on MTV. And then we have Thank You for Being a Friend with the Golden Girls. Little known fact about Video Killed the Radio Star. Hans Zimmer, who is, you may know from many, many soundtracks that are like the big bombastic soundtracks right now. The Black Knight series, Inception, you know, big ones. He actually is playing in that video, in Video Kills the Radio Star. I believe he is the keyboardist in the video. Random fact for you. All right. We have a Game Over needle minder from Rebel Stitchers on a Game Boy. I never had one growing up. My family was a little wealthier than most, so we did have an Atari system, and we did wind up eventually getting the original Nintendo system, but not when it first came out, because we did not have a Toys R Us in my town, like many towns did, and we had to wait till we were visiting my mom in California to experience Toys R Us. But we also had an obscure one before then called a Magnavox Odyssey. And if you know what that is, congratulations, you're one of us. It was a very awkward gaming system, and it never really took off that well, but that was my first video game system. So, but never had a Game Boy. The first handheld I had was my Nintendo Switch that I bought during the pandemic. Took me a little while. Okay, so we have that. We have a very appropriate Rubiks Cube scissor fob. I've never actually been able to do the Rubiks Cube. I had one of the originals. I would always cheat and I would take the stickers off. I know there's supposed to be methods to finish it, but I will probably leave it as is, because as soon as it gets moved around, it will never be back to being a solid block again. But that's adorable. And one of my favorite scissor fobs actually just broke while I was at the retreat. So this will probably take its place until I rebead the one that I had. Okay, let's see, what else we got? We have, here we go. I had so many of these in the 80s. We have a scunchie. These definitely were 80s. My mom made some for me. I bought a ton of them. I was always wearing them. And actually, we'll just kind of put that up there now. Like half of the photos of me in middle and high school had me wearing a scunchie. This one, I recognize the pattern as being from very close to Stranger Things, from Eleven's jumpsuit. Let me see. It says, yes, it says it's a Stranger Things scrunchie. Eleven may not have actually been hanging out in Hawkins in the 80s, but we love her self-chosen romper from her mall trip in season 3. This scrunchie uses, see, they call her scrunchie. I always thought it was a scunchie, but I think it just depends what brand you got. Uses the same fabric from the romper's design. They were actually invented in 1986 by Rami Hunt Revson. And they were everywhere. Everywhere. In the 80s and the early 90s. They disappeared more towards the late 90s. And I remember not only wearing like one, but sometimes you would stack them just like you would stack scrunch socks. And yeah, I must have had like a basket of like 40 of them growing up in all different sizes. So there we go. There's my 80s accoutrement. All right. We have, by the way, thank you for doing paper stuff so that if it falls on the floor, I'm not freaking out if the cats get a little bit of it. I really appreciate that. Because if it were plastic, I'd be freaking out all the time. I make such a mess with this stuff. But of course, since it's paper, if my cats get a bit of it, who cares? Okay, project bag. I love the project bags from Black Needle Society. And they have huge ones, which are awesome, but don't fit in my tubs very easily. Then they have the little ones, which are perfect for ornaments or for like if you need supply bags. And then we have nice medium-sized ones. And of course, we have the signature song from the Breakfast Club, Don't You Forget About Me. And in fairly impressive Lisa Frank colors. I don't want to know how many mixtapes I made during the 80s and early 90s. Some of them are still in my basement here. And yes, I still do have a cassette recorder. I have a dual tape and a 3 CD. It's down in the basement, though. It's not currently being used. But it still exists. But yeah, mixtapes, huge. It was required that if you were using mixtapes or cassette tapes, you needed to have a pencil or a pen that had a good grip at any good time because you just never knew when you were going to have to do surgery. So, and if you don't know, ask an older person. All right. Yes. So nice project bag with a zipper. They always have them with like a nice silky lining. They're vinyl-y. The only thing for me that I have to be careful is that my cats love picking at these. So most of them get a little bit of a pockmark on them. But it just means they're getting loved. And finally in this box, we have the chart. Memory error from Silver Creek Samplers. Come on, focus camera. Can recall most 1980s lyrics, but still can't remember the reason I came into this room. That is me to a T. Those actually look like my glasses right now. You never see me wearing my glasses because I wouldn't be able to see myself on the screen because I need them for distance, not close up. But, oh, those are my old glasses. Why do I have my old ones down here? Hang on. These are my current ones. Oh, that's right. Max brought me the wrong ones. So, these are my glasses. Hey, look. It's me. So, yeah. That will be going into my pretty quickly stitching pile, actually. That may be started in January. Maybe have that one ready for the 50th birthday, which is coming up the year after. I'm getting old. All right. Take those off because I'll go blind. But so that's the box. I am an 80s kid. And I still, 80s on 8 on Sirius XM is like on my car radio all the time. I have a 10-year-old son who can sing 80s songs lyrics because he hears them with his mother all the time. And if he's been particularly bratty in the morning, he knows that I'm going to pick him up with the most ridiculous 80s tunes in the afternoon. The ones that I'm going to jam to within an inch of my life, usually like Tarzan Boy. That's a great one to pick up kids who you want to embarrass. I am an 80s kid. Always will be an 80s kid. Love the music, love the movies, love some of the fashion. Some of it was a choice, but we had a great time. I don't want to wear shoulder pads ever again. Yeah. There were some choices, actually, weren't there? Yeah. But hey, it's 80s. It makes me happy. And I hope that, you know, can have a little fun with it. If there's anything in here that you really like and you're not a subscriber, keep an eye on the Black Needle Society page on their vault page, because if they have extras, they put stuff up there usually like the month after. So just kind of keep an eye on it. I would say starting the beginning of December. But of course, with the holidays, it might be delayed a little bit. But yeah, that's my video for this time. Next time, I will show you my planner, and for next year, show you some stuff I've been working on, some of the ideas I'm kind of starting to think about for 2024, and enjoy some stitching over the long Thanksgiving holiday weekend. So until then, have a lovely weekend, and I will see you next time. Bye.